What's up, people? You're listening and watching the Raps Talk podcast presented by HipHoopJunkies.com and HoopheadsNorth.com. Hoops Talk at Halifax is episode 96. This is a post-win podcast. Game 4, Raptors with the 105-99 win. My name is Romy Kino. I have with me
Jean-Francois, go Raptors.
And
You eat at least 6 Sampang.
man, we're not talking about just at least 6. Like, this Raptors team has got the confidence that they.
Oh yeah.
I think they can beat Cleveland now, and they came out so strong again. Lowry and DeRozan. I mean, they combined for 65 points, if I'm not mistaken.
67.
67.
Yeah. So Lowry
combined 28 of 43 from the field.
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy. Just if you're talking about all those struggles that they had in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, and for these two just to kind of like switch it on, both of them having big games. Biyombo was great again, but yeah, let's just start from the beginning. Jonas Valanciunas was cleared to play. We thought we might see an appearance, but which is good news for sure. And we'd like to see him, but I couldn't see Coach Casey inserting him at any point in this game, considering how close it was and how well the Raptors were playing.
But how physical the game was too.
And matchups.
Yeah, and matchups for sure. And also before this, Coach Casey obviously fined $25,000 for his comments on the officiating from the last game. It didn't look so well for the Raptors. Let's talk about the first half. No foul calls or no free throws. For the Raptors in the first half, and the first call came in the second quarter. What did you think of the officiating in that first half?
That was horrendous. It was an absolute joke, and I have no idea how the NBA can look at themselves in the mirror and think that that was a properly officiated game. How in the world can the Cleveland Cavaliers play man-on-man defense the entire first half and not have a foul called against them? That's just not possible. Unless they're playing matador defense and letting players run by them straight to the hoop for baskets every time, there has to have at least been someone going to the free throw line.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
In that first half.
What were we going to say?
Consistency. I just want consistency. Did you watch that press conference? I didn't think it was that bad. Like he just kept on saying the consistency thing, but then he finally mentioned LeBron's name, and then I think that's probably the one that really tipped it, that made it we obviously know that's what he was talking about. But yeah, it was pretty terrible. Like I went back and I rewound the DVR every time there was a foul call to see what actually happened, and there's some that were close, but some that definitely should have been called.
Yeah, it makes you think sometimes with the league, but
Illuminati.
Yeah.
What does Jay-Z want? Come on, what does Drake want?
The league doesn't want the league does not want the Raptors in the finals. Obviously, it wouldn't be good for the league.
Yes, it would. Come on, man.
Oh no, it'd be good for the league, but I'm just saying,
the rest of the world.
The ideal matchup for the NBA would be Steph Curry versus LeBron James. If you put the Toronto Raptors in there, you're not getting that superstar NBA Finals. But both Oklahoma City and Toronto Raptors are kind of pushing against that. But yeah, so that first half, it was still a good half. Considering that there was no foul shots in the first half, the Raptors still had the lead. Played 2 great quarters of basketball. And Biyombo was great. He finished with 5 points, 14 boards. Even Scola, he played. The minutes he plays, he's doing well, keeping Kevin Love in check. And Kevin Love, he struggled. He struggled big time in that, especially in that first half. 4-14, and it just like it looks more like to me like LeBron is kind of trying to facilitate to get the other guys going, and it just I mean Kyrie and Kevin Love. I mean I think that they struggled. I mean Kyrie obviously he stepped it up in the second half, but nothing was going right for Cleveland. What did you guys think of Cleveland?
I was impressed with their resiliency. I mean, obviously they were getting the benefits of the foul calls, but trying to just take the referees out of the situation and just looking at the competitive nature between the two teams and what they both brought. I thought that despite Cleveland, getting down early, I thought they did a good job with the adjustments in the second half. They started making shots. They believed in the shots they could take. Cavs' second unit obviously came in and did a big job. Channing Frye just seems to be on automatic from three. It's just incredible what he's been able to do. And they were getting timely baskets from everyone else, like Iman Shumpert and Dellavedova, Richard Jefferson. Not like huge efforts, but they weren't missing shots. Like they basically went. The start of that fourth quarter. And they were just making. So I was impressed with the adjustments that Cleveland was able to make to get back into the game.
Yeah, I was actually impressed with the Raptors' resiliency as well. Like in the early going or in the first half to not get those calls and not get overly frustrated and still stay on their game. It's like they use it as a chip on their shoulder. Mm-hmm. To spark them, us against the world kind of thing. But yeah, Cleveland, they were just executing to perfection. Like the Raps were playing the best D they could, but trying to get out and challenge shooters. And then all of a sudden, when they started to key more on challenging shooters on the outside, then they made that little adjustment to start making back cuts, and it was like, got beat again. But I mean, it's pick your poison when a team that's that explosive starts hitting shots. It's like what can you do? And luckily the Raps were able to get enough baskets to match them, and then defensive stops near the end.
Yeah, I mean that was exactly it. I mean DeMar did his thing. Like he was able to get in the paint and get his jumpers. I mean he was huge. I mean usually we've seen him just struggle with the jumper, but he was able to just to get in the paint, get the little floater or get in the lane. Like he was great tonight. And then like you said, it was just coming down to the defensive stops at the end. And I mean it got scary because they had a 16-point lead at half, and then all of a sudden in the second half the Cavs were up by 1 and they made a run with Channing Frye. So like it looks like Coach Lou went with like the second unit. What was it? Channing Frye, Dellavedova, Jefferson, and Shumpert. Was it just the 4 guys off the bench and then LeBron?
And LeBron, yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes it was Shumpert, sometimes it was J.R. Smith. Can't remember. Yeah.
So I mean, and that was a big problem for the Raptors because that kind of brought Biyombo out from the paint, and because he was on Frye, because the couple times where he wasn't guarding Frye, he was nailing those threes. And it just kind of that lineup just killed Toronto, but they were able to just to make the adjustments. So, what did you think about Toronto making the adjustments on that when Cleveland went on that run?
Okay, you go ahead about the run.
Yeah, I think it's similar to what Yui said earlier. Just the resiliency that they just stuck with it. They didn't panic. Like they just made sure that they still played hard on the boards, were trying to close out shooters, and limiting second chance points, because there was a lot of times where the ball was flying off the rim after those threes, and I was like, oh man, can the Raptors hold on to these defensive rebounds for them, and obviously trying to omit offensive rebounds for the Cavs. So I thought that the Raptors did a good job of just hanging in, staying composed. I think composure. You talked about consistency earlier. Composure was another key word for this game from Toronto's perspective.
Yeah, no, the composure. I mean, it was great from Toronto. Like, because we've watched this team for so long, and you know that things can get frustrating, especially when the 16-point lead just suddenly disappeared. It's easy to get frustrated, and it's easily for guys to kind of force the game and take some bad shots. But I mean, you didn't see much of Terrence Ross, so
thankfully.
But I mean, guys like Patrick Patterson were huge tonight, and
James Johnson.
That was limited minutes, but man, he just put his stamp on it right away, right?
Yeah, he's always, every time, whether how many minutes he plays, he's always effective.
Totally.
He looks, I don't know, his body language, and I don't know what it is about him. He just looks like you think he's gonna be terrible out there, but he always finds a way to get to the basket or hits a three. But James Johnson's been huge. He had 6 minutes, 2 points. There was another guy I was going to talk about, Corey Joseph. Corey Joseph just hit some crazy baskets too.
Yeah.
And
the one on LeBron, was it on LeBron? I think.
Yeah, the bank.
And then the shot clock kind of like flipped it off to the side.
Yeah.
Steve Nash-ish, Curry-ish.
Yeah. I mean, this has just been. I mean, it's a great game all around. The fact that the Raptors could just maintain this and maintain their lead and hold off the Cleveland Cavaliers, who could be so dangerous. What do you think, Yui?
Back-to-back wins now against the Cavs.
Wait.
Getting destroyed 2 games in a row, and to come back and tie it. Like the resiliency, the composure, just how they went about doing it, having everyone, for the most part, talking against them, talking about them, and not in a positive light, writing them off after the first game, definitely after the second game. Man, I can't wait to see some of the talking heads, see what they have to say tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if the media is gonna overreact when they play terrible, then they better overreact when they play this well. I mean, both key guys, they were 7 for 8 from the free throw line this game, and they almost combined for 50-40-90 shooting again. Lowry and DeRozan, they just missed it. But yeah, can we just stamp this now? The Spurs have the Memorial Day miracle. Can we call this our Victorious Day?
Yes.
Victoria Day?
Victoria Day victory.
Victorious Day, baby.
Yep.
It will go down in Raptors lore.
Oh yeah.
Rod Black had that. Did you get that from Rod Black?
I heard him say that at the end. I laughed.
He said something about victorious on Victoria Day.
Anyhow, I was reading the stats.
What were you gonna ask?
No, sorry. I was going to bring this up too. ESPN Stats and Info tweet: Lowry and DeRozan are the first pair of teammates with 30 points and 60% field goal percentage in conference finals since Charles Barkley, Dan Marley, '93 Suns.
Nice.
That's a pretty cool stat.
For sure.
Especially given how much flack they took for their poor shooting woes earlier in the playoffs. That's quite the tweet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go share that right now. Thank you.
Another tweet to DG on the road: most wins in the 2016 playoffs. Toronto 10, OKC 10, Cleveland 10, Golden State 9.
Yeah.
Wow.
Another one. Michael Jordan's first time in the Eastern Conference Finals against a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals. How many games did he win in the Conference Finals? That one. Sean?
Say that again?
Jordan's first time to the Eastern Conference Finals. He played against a team that the previous year they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Same situation as the Raps.
Yeah.
How many wins did Jordan get? Versus the Pistons. How many games did that series go?
Well, the second time around or the first time around? When they lost or when they won?
No, the first time that they were in the Eastern Conference
7,
Finals.
didn't it? The first time I think they lost in 6. Then the second time they lost in 7.
Yeah.
And then they finally swept. The
we don't have to talk about that part.
Okay, Yui. Now, there's a lot of talk now. I see it on Twitter, and they were talking about it on the broadcast. They're talking about Bismack and comparing him, making parallels to Ben Wallace, and then I mean Jack was talking about comparing this Raptors team to the '04 Pistons. What's your thoughts on that comparison?
Good in the, like, I mean, all the players don't really. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Because, I mean, Chauncey wasn't the most athletic, but he used his body well and knew when to take the big shot. That's Lowry time. DeRozan's definitely different from but Rip was always, like, you could always get him the ball coming off a screen and knowing that he would come off the screen, get open, hit a shot. Like, you always knew that. And Biyombo was like Ben Wallace. Wallace was probably better getting his hands on guards and getting steals, but I mean, Biyombo's starting to show now that he can. I mean, he was guarding Kyrie on a couple plays there,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
he
Like he was.
challenged him well. Actually, let's talk about the end there. Like, what was happening? Like, was that by design, where Lowry was guarding LeBron in the post? Were they trying to bait them? Like LeBron to maybe slow it down and try to make the right play out of the post by, like shifting over the D when LeBron gets deep, and then knowing that LeBron's going to try to kick it out to the shooters, like making him predictable. What was good? Was that a switch or what happened there?
I
Like, it
think
happened
it's
on two or three
Yeah, it was more than one
straight.
possession.
It was
yeah, I
definitely
think
at
it was
least two, maybe three.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. I remember one being a switch for sure, but I'd have to go back and look at the film to see if it was just a situation where
Yeah, because
Lowry ended up having to be on him because of the matchup. But at one point, I remember a switch for sure. He didn't have LeBron originally, but then ended up having to switch to him in the corner.
yeah,
Yeah, I
and
don't
kind
know.
of
Go ahead.
kind of conventional wisdom is you want to guard, everybody straight up one on one. But I mean, if you're gonna double team in that situation, that was like just the way it worked out was perfect because it's like LeBron seeing the floor, he's slowing things down, trying to analyze where to go to, and the Raptors know they're gonna bring help, so they know he's gonna kick it out because he always makes the right basketball play. Like, that
Hmm.
doesn't work against KD or Russell Westbrook because they'll just like dribble away from it and then or shoot over two guys before the double team gets there, something crazy like that. But LeBron is always going to make the fundamentally sound play in that situation, and they were like, you could see if you go back and watch it, you could see the defense kind of read his eyes as to what was going to happen, who he was going to kick it to, and they
Hmm.
got up on those shooters at the end. That's when
Yeah.
Fry was missing.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what Fry was missing, and I think it was like each time though when I watched those possessions, I think Patterson was there to help too, like
Yeah.
towards the end, like when he was LeBron was gonna he kicked it out both times, I'm pretty sure. Um, so yeah, whatever they did in that to close that quarter, I mean it worked out, and luckily Kyrie hit a big three at the end, but Lowry and DeRozan hit some big baskets. I mean, in that quarter. Um, so I mean, it was great to see those two finally have an amazing game for both of them, both 30 plus points. Um, so now they go back to Cleveland on Wednesday night. What do you expect from Cleveland this time around? Do you see anything different? I mean, do you think the lineups will stay the same? Like the starting lineup?
I'll let you start with Yui.
I think so. Um, the Cavs second half, man, like they almost played just about as good as they can with Kyrie and LeBron. But I'd say you could say that Channing Frye was their love tonight. Hit big man hitting threes outside. So I don't think much is going to change from their end. And it was just good that the Raptors had that cushion and were able to hold on. So the storm's coming in that first half in Game 5, so
Oh, yeah.
they can withstand it.
Quicken Loans Arena is going to be rocking.
Hmm. And I mean, you're gonna see JV. I'm guessing like he's gonna be available in the next game. It'd be interesting to see if Coach Casey inserts him at all. I don't think we would see him starting. You just can't change what's working for you. I mean, with Biyombo. So hopefully we'll see. It's a 9:30 start, is it, on Wednesday?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
Right, 8:30 Eastern. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll look forward to that. Any final thoughts before sign off?
Oh, I just thought about more about the Pistons comment. Mehmet Okur was the JV, the big European guy who can post.
Oh, yeah.
Corey Joseph is the Lindsey Hunter, Mike James, the small reserve guard who can put pressure on the ball and hit big shots.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like
Who was Rashid? Who was Rashid?
That's another thing. The Rashid is DeMar DeRozan on the mismatch, getting the ball in the post, because that almost seems to be his go-to now. That like I feel more confident in him hitting the post shot on a size mismatch more than I do him hitting a face-up one-on-one matchup.
Right. Although Rashid made a lot of threes, and that's not something DeMar does.
That's true, yeah.
You're right. I hear you. That was an interesting parallel that was brought up in the game telecast. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, another thing too, like going forward, I'd like to see, like they always started with Rashid in the post, and then when Corliss Williamson would come off the bench, and they'd always go down to him in the post.
Yeah.
I think the Raptors got to do the same thing with JV to start it out, and then let that open up the things for the guys that can slash and cut and hit shots, like play it inside out.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, that's what worked.
I think they can win a championship with this
games.
Like
right?
Seeing what they did this year and seeing JV's progress, this core can win a championship, and continuity is something too. Like people think KD and Russell Westbrook don't work together, but KD, Russell Westbrook, well, Nick Collison, Serge Ibaka, like all those guys have played together for so long. If you keep it together, they have that chemistry, and while other teams are just trying to get free agents all the time and work new guys in. How does that work for you, Houston?
So, exactly. Yeah, I mean, obviously, continuity is always going to be key. I mean, especially with a core, and you got. I mean, I have to say now. I mean, fresh off these two games, but now it's like you can't let Bismack be on the walk. I mean,
I know, definitely not.
Pay him, pay the man.
You gotta pull San Antonio and convince everybody for the greater good. Everybody take less than the max.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens in the offseason. But it's like he's 23 years old, right? Like he still has got a lot of good years ahead of him. So we'll see what happens. I mean, in the offseason. But I mean, what a fun game. We'll see what happens in Game 5 in Cleveland. Hopefully, the Raptors can continue what they're working with. So Game 3, 8:30 Eastern. Stay tuned to the blogs, hiphoopjunkies.com, hoopheadsnorth.com, on Twitter, @RomieAquino, @SeanFrancois, @UWeTheJock. Episode 96. We out.